Godzilla v Superman is a fight no one asked for, but is a fight that can be more exciting than slapping your best friend for fun. But this is not the only comic we're going to be talking about, my little kindergarteners, because I have a staggering 5 comics prepared to share with you guys, which is including, obviously, Superman sucking buckets against Godzilla, Spider-Man getting super speed and doing something really stupid as a result, then we got J. Jonah Jameson becoming Spider-Man in a goofy story where he's wearing paper mache for a suit, as well as the entire Marvel Universe witnessing 9/11. But we are going to kick off this movie marathon with a story where Batman, this haram demon, is taking steroids in the Batman Venom comic series. So one night, it was pouring God's sweat, and Batman was in the tunnels trying to find a stupid girl named Sissy, but eventually, however, he was able to find that little girl who was also strapped up to a chair and was on the verge of drowning thanks to the water rising. But unfortunately, some big booty boulders got in the way, and he had to swim under the water to try to untie the ropes that were holding the girl. And he was doing this all while she was in the process of drowning. But Batman's body was just not ready for this because he couldn't hold his breath for that long. And because he was too slow, the girl eventually drowned and died. And as a result of his failure, Batman was just super depressed. He looked like melted ice cream because clearly he wasn't good enough to save her. Eventually, however, Bruce decided to break the news to the father of that daughter who died that his daughter died. But when he met him, it was clear that the father did not care about his daughter. He gave no dookies about her death because he is a mad scientist who is obsessed with making some power pills. So he offers some of those pills to Batman, which were carefully designed to help Bruce get a little bit stronger. But Batman is a halal Christian boy. He refused to take any of these drugs. However, ever since that night the girl died and he failed to save her, Batman has been dog water when it comes to fighting crime. So taking those pills became a lot more attractive to him. So as a result, he decided to do the naughty and go back to the dad, asking for some of his voodoo pills and see what it could do. And predictably, these pills worked wonders for Bruce. He got stronger, he got faster, and creepily, he got more addicted to these pills. But the more of these zoinkers that he took, the more aggressive he became, which meant that the moment he ran out of pills, he completely lost control and even started beating up the scientists for more of these power-ups. But fortunately, Bruce realized that he now had a bad addiction, so he threw them all away and asked Alfred to lock him up in his Batcave to make sure that this drag queen could go through a proper detox. And sure enough, this detox worked wonders because he was sane enough to put his bat suit back on, be a proper Batman once again. Next up is kind of a sad story, but considering it's a Marvel story, you probably won't cry because this does have some goofy moments that will fulfill your daily dose of internet, and that's when the Marvel heroes witnessed 9/11 in the Amazing Spider-Man comic series. So this doomsday starts off with literally Spider-Man staring directly at what was the World's Trade Center, but has now just become a fiery abyss of misery and despair. But some googly-eyed weirdos came onto the scene to ask Spider-Man where the dumpsters was this guy. Like, how could you, Spider-Man, let this happen? And Peter was more shocked to hear this than finding out that you don't get pregnant from kissing someone, because in no world would Spider-Man have seen this coming. But anyways, he heads onto the scene to help out and notices everyone from firefighters to cops to Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and the X-Men trying to help clean up all this cringe. But what is cringe is that there are multiple villains here as well who decide to help out, which is great and all, of course, but these hamsters are crying because they could not believe a tragedy like this, as if they have not done worse things on a scale that spans the multiverse. But anyways, the comic then moves forward by showing New York mourning the loss of everyone who passed when the attack occurred, and also us seeing some news bum nuggets who were saying that this attack was called for, which is obviously a ridiculous statement. There's not even an analogy that comes close to how poo-poo that take is. But anyways, Spider-Man saw a little boy crying and politely asked the little buttercup to leave because it's dangerous right now. But apparently, his dad is supposed to be here to pick him up, but it turns out that's not gonna happen. And he started bawling out an ocean of tears. And Spider-Man was just left like shattered glass because his heart is broken. But overall, things were just getting worse and worse. Like, this man who was injured was talking about how he was gonna tell his kids what happened. And Peter didn't even know what to say. And even Captain America, who fought in the murder dungeon that is World War II, was also shocked and motionless from this whole attack. But anyways, the rest of the comic is basically the heroes and villains cleaning everything up to the best of their abilities, everyone holding memorials, and Spider-Man just saying that we all have to stand strong, stand tall, hold our paws together, and make sure something like this does not happen again. Alright, Buttercup, pull up your pants up and drop the kids off because we're back in the Dumbo district where JJJ has officially become a Spider-Man in the Edge of the Spider-Verse comic series. So this story begins by us being taken to Earth 1755, a new Marvel playground where our beloved fossil J. Jonah Jameson reluctantly brought along a freelance photographer named Peter Parker to a brand new science exhibit to take pictures of a bunch of telescopes, the robotic gummy worms, etc. But obviously Jonah is bored because science is not his bread and butter. He rather studied the history of the color blue than study science. This was mainly Peter's domain. However, Jonah wanted some updates and found himself obligated to be a part of the spotlight and cut the ribbon at the exhibit's opening ceremony. But in doing so, Jonah was in the splash zone because a spider scooted from the ceiling and bit Jonah on the hand. But the comic then cuts to Jonah, this hairy orangutan, experiencing goofy symptoms such as him hallucinating that his son, who died a while back, is still alive. But he eventually woke up from this VR nightmare and discovered that he got the powers to cling to walls, sense impending danger, and had the ability to heal fast. But as you can tell, Peter saw this face reveal in the flesh because he busted into Jonah's room to see if he was okay, and Jonah was a little embarrassed right now. So to ensure that nobody knows about this new spider Gatorade coursing through his veins, he had to make sure that Peter stays quiet. So in exchange for him being quiet, he offers this goober a job after treating him like soggy cheese. But on top of that, during a meeting where they had a little little convo with Betty Brant, J. Jonah Jumbo Shrimps found out that his son died because he was killed by somebody who paid to kill him. So now, Jonah wants a taste of revenge, but he needs a costume in order to do that. But luckily for him, Peter for some reason has some skills in making costumes for adult cosplayers on IG, and Jonah wanted him to make him a suit to hide his face. And that's exactly what he did. So he made him web shooters and a costume that entirely looks like it was made out of paper mache, and also has newspapers as a cape, as well as half of a mask to help this tortoise breathe properly. But anyways, after they got the costume, they did a little bit more digging and found that the supposed killer was located in this Minecraft tower. So Jonah busts through to try to find the killer and send him through Hades' bum crack, which he did successfully because he had a little tussle with multiple people and held his own like he was John Wick. But there was one donkey who was running away and taking something out of his bag, so he decided to chase after him. However, when he finally caught up to him, he realized it was the Marvel's Toronto man, the Shocker, and he was bragging about his vibro shockers and how they're so cool. But for some reason, once Jonah heard that name of the weapon, he put the pieces together and deduced that the Shocker is his son's killer. And even though Peter told him to just calm his tits, he didn't listen, and he was ready to send this weasel to Bowser's castle and burn. But like every Spider-Punk, they always have something holding them back, and that something was a promise that Jonah made to his son that he would make him proud, and killing the Shocker would not help his case. So instead, he used his powers of intimidation to convince the Shocker to confess and provide the names of those who had orchestrated the murder, which he was successfully able to do, and then immediately he put this information as a headline for the Daily Bugle newspaper. And that's also how he got his silly stupid username, Headline, because he wants villains to know that if you lose to me, you won't die, but your career will die, because everyone is going to know who you are and know what you did. Next up, we got a pretty nifty story that takes place in the Spider-Man PlayStation world where Peter gets super speed, but that's not the only surprise, because for the 5,000th time, Spider-Man does something very stupid that could have cost him his life in the Marvel Spider-Man Velocity comic series. So this story takes us to the Insomniac Spider-Man universe, where the villains here are becoming even more strange than usual. And the reason why is because they either have high-tech weapons, superpowers, the ability to pay for Netflix, and so much more. And Peter did his buster best to keep up with these donkeys, but eventually he realized he needed to get better. He needed to twist his nipples and get stronger to keep up with these villains. So Peter started slaving away in his sex dungeon on a brand new suit for himself. And this new prom suit he made had armor as well as the ability to enhance his overall powers. And he put this suit to work against some cute baddies stealing some garbage, but while he was fighting them, this suit malfunctioned, so he had some more work left to do on this suit. But while Peter was working on it, MJ was also doing her own investigating shenanigans and came across a new thief that appeared out of nowhere in New York City. And it was a young silly girl who seemed to have super speed. And this got the attention of Peter because he never thought about super speed and wanted to add this unique ability to his Power Ranger suit. But that also meant Peter had to stop her from stealing more Prime bottles, so he went to meet up with the speedster in his storage warehouse. But when she noticed him, Spider-Man did not stand a chance against her. But no matter what he did, Spider-Man couldn't think fast and was getting slapped around like a soggy hot dog. So after getting beat up, Spider-Man needed to figure out how to give himself super speed. So using his noodle and all the gadgets that were left over from the tussle he had with Otto Octavius, Peter was able to figure out how to give himself super speed. So he developed a brand new version of the suit that could withstand a high amount of heat and friction, so that way it could give him the ability to run fast and be safe. So after a little more work, everything was ready, and Peter Parker donned his brand new Spider-Man Velocity suit and activated it. Now initially he was whack at running, he was more useless than a white crayon, but with the power of storytelling, he got better. And with a little bit of help from MJ, Peter found that this speedster rat was going to torture some old goober very soon for some reason. So Peter immediately went to work to stop her and absolutely sucked duck doing it, because she ran away and Peter followed by them destroying a building, running through a park, and then the speedster turning around and punching Peter in the chest. In other words, Spider-Man didn't know what to do. She was just too fast, and it seemed like she was getting faster. But suddenly, Aisho Speed over here gets a text from her mom that she's in trouble, and the reason why is because MJ's here doing some investigation that the mom is not comfortable about. Now this needs some context, so listen up. So the speedster here, her name is Haley, and her father got super speed from Norman Osborn a long time ago, and it was all inherited into Haley when she was born. But Osborn wanted some more information on this gamer's speed, so he conducted an experiment on him, but it killed the dad as a result. But apparently that wasn't the case, because he recorded multiple interviews with someone else after the experiment, so he's probably still running about, but we just don't know where. And the mother doesn't want MJ here and poking around in her family business and exposing this stuff, which is why she called Haley for help. But it turns out the dad wanted his story to be exposed because that means that exposes Oscorp for experimenting on humans, which is illegal. So when the mom heard that, she immediately regretted calling for Haley because she bolted in and put MJ in a chokehold. And Spider-Man obviously came in to stop her, but she accidentally turned herself on fire because she was running too fast. And Peter was going to deal with that by chucking her into a little puddle and bringing her back home. But when he did bring her back home, he told MJ that you need to stay here with her because she has become way too fast. And as a result, she could burn herself whenever she runs outside. So just keep her here and make sure she stays asleep while I run to the grocery store and eat everything I see because I'm so hungry, and go on to work on a cure for Haley's powers. But what's funny is that this goober was working so fast that he only had 10 seconds for all the chemicals to synthesize. So within 10 seconds, he stopped some thugs, fought a final boss, talked to his dead family, and realized that being a fast superhero is easier than the first Spider-Man video game. Because I mean, look, everything in New York is quiet and the TV screens are slow. Being fast is so good. But anyways, Peter got his finished product, but unfortunately during all that work, Haley woke up from her sleep and ran away to find Spider-Man. But while she was running to find Spider-Butts, she came across him on all of the screens in New York. Because Peter did some Bob the Builder work and fixed the TV screens to work at the same frequency Haley sees the world, so that way he could stop her and easily talk to her. But it looks like she didn't want to talk and just wanted to fight. But that's fine, because Spider-Man with his suit that has no pockets pulled out multiple gadgets and elixirs to slow her down. And eventually, he successfully was able to web her up and proceeds to do one of the most stupidest things I've ever seen a hero do. So Spider-Man was just speaking some gibberish and trying to relate to her demons and tell her to slow down or else she could die. But Haley doesn't care if she dies because that's just how life works. Then Peter responds by pulling out the cure that he made for her and giving Haley a shining moment of salvation, but proceeded to crush the cure right in front of her nose. In this sprouted a Goliath Peter did not intend on spawning, because Haley wanted to know why he did that. Why would you destroy the cure, the thing that could save my life forever? And Peter basically said that you could use your powers for good. You can leave a good legacy behind, and I can help you with that. Starting with me, because this suit is going critical, and you need to save me before I blow up. But luckily, thanks to plot armor, he didn't get smeared on the wall like jelly, and he was fully okay, and went back home to MJ. But the next day, Haley was all bubblegum and roses, and got a little present on her windowsill from Spider-Man. And it turns out, it was something very, very special, and that's Haley's very own easy-to-control Mega Man armor, so that way she could be a proper hero for New York. And now it's time for the Big Daddy story, where all the DC heroes have to face demons of the monster multiverse in this actually decent story, and that's the Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong comic series. The story starts with Superman and her honey bun Lois Lane just having a joyful little date on a rooftop, and Clark was for some reason on his knee to do something, but whatever he wanted to do was going to have to wait because they heard a rumble that is louder than a Taylor Swift fan and saw a goober that he was just super shocked to see, and it was everybody's favorite teddy bear, Godzilla. So Superman suited up and flew to Godzilla to have a little podcast with him and told him that if you want to fight, let's take this somewhere else where no one will get hurt. But Godzilla doesn't speak English, unfortunately, so Superman just assumed that he wanted a little tussle. But Clark was acting like a wet wipe and warning Godzilla that you picked the wrong guy to fight, but then he got slapped by Godzilla's tail and kamikaze through multiple buildings and realized that this was going to be no easy fight. Luckily, however, the Flash is here to help evacuate all the marshmallows that are in this building while Clark goes back to fight this monster. Meanwhile, the rest of DC's Avengers heard about this Halloween party and were going to help Superman, but they got word from Cyborg that there is some bigger news, and that's that 4 other no-schnapp fans have infected the DC world and are ready to destroy it. One of these goobers is a spider in Central City, then you got a bat in Gotham City, followed by a mammoth in Themyscira, and obviously Godzilla in Metropolis. So now, all of the DC heroes are going to have to divide and deal with these monsters themselves. So Hawkgirl is going to help Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, and Supergirl are going to Central City, Wonder Woman and for some reason Green Arrow are going to pray to God that they could beat the mammoth in Themyscira. But what's more pathetic than Green Arrow helping Wonder Woman is that the Bat family, who is more powerless than a plank of wood, are going to help try to fight the Bat monster that looks like Amy Schumer. But anyways, we get to see what they actually do against it, because Batman and Batwoman are in the skies right now, and they're just chipping away at the monster to try to sense any weaknesses. But it looks like that they helped the monster get stronger than weaker, because it got angry and shot out a fat loogie of supersonic waves towards the heroes. But now that they got that information, they now have a good idea of how to beat it at its own game. But right now, they just need to get this mutated donkey out of the city and try to make sure it doesn't get mad anymore. But Red Hood, despite being told so many times by everyone you could think of, Jason was hell-bent on shooting the monster between the eyes, thinking that it would kill him. Because totally, a simple gun is powerful enough to be someone more dangerous than the Red Ring of Death. But anyways, he took a shot at the goober, landed the bullet in the eye, and found out what happened as a result immediately. And now, everyone is in trouble. But luckily for the Bat family, Black Canary is here to contribute something to this group project, and on top of that, they also got Cyborg. So after yelling at Red Hood and knocking him out, they flew to a building to execute a plan. And this plan was to attach a megaphone onto a plane and have Black Canary scream through it in hopes of killing the monster. But the thing is that they need the monster to scream again, so that way they could counterattack properly. So that's exactly what they did. Canary was riding the plane like a horse, followed by Batman toying with the monster and having him belt out a dream song one more time. As a result, this gave Black Canary the information she needed to fight back, breathe in, and scream attack loud enough to finally kill the monster. Meanwhile, Hawkgirl and Superman are doing something. They're attacking the guy, but nothing is working, and now they have no idea what they could do against Godzilla. But luckily for them, they got a bit of a backup plan, because after Hawkgirl got bitch slapped, a special hero came in to save her, and that man was Shazam, who chucked Hawkgirl into the garbage and got ready to fight. But they have to be careful because Godzilla was about to spit out his glowing Gatorade. But Superman was ready for it and had a very cool laser v laser battle in the sky. But Shazam, just like Red Hood, decided to do something dumb, because he decided to sit on Godzilla's unbreakable skin, yell out Shazam, and have it do nothing to Godzilla and cause him to just fall off and force Superman to save him. But Clark committed the cardinal sin that is more dangerous than using an aimbot in Fortnite, and that's turning your back on the villain, because Clark felt the full brunt of Godzilla's spit, fell to the ground like a rocket, and died on the spot. And yeah, that's it. Bye.